Hello, welcome to the future, a time with limitless potential and a matching level of uncertainty. People have always tried to predict what lies ahead, from the sleek, worry-free visions of the 1950s to the dark, gritty depictions of the early 2000s, and today's cyberpunk-inspired views. It's easy to see why this genre captivates us. It feels all too real, like we're at a tipping point. The idea of corporations growing too big for their britches and controlling almost every aspect of our lives doesn't seem all too far off nowadays, does it? But these predictions focus on everyday life. So this got me thinking, what could the amusement industry look like in the future? Let's go ahead and dive into this question further. Before we start, I just wanted to say how incredible this year has been for the channel's growth. I've finally hit my goal of 1,000 subscribers and monetization in December of last year, and I am nearing the 2,000 subscriber milestone incredibly soon. I really appreciate all of the support you guys have given, and believe you me, I read every comment you post on my videos. While I may not respond to all of them, I still see them, so thank you. A special shout out goes to Future Collective for continuing to support me at the $1 crazy tier on Patreon. If you want to support me too, you can find the links in the description. Now, where were we? Oh right, in asking the question, what might the amusement industry look like in the future, I want to keep things realistic. Firstly, I know this video won't sit particularly well with some of you coaster enthusiasts who come across it. I get it, but the reality is we make up a small part of an amusement park's attendance, so our opinions don't always have the biggest impact. Besides, we've all seen those videos predicting the next 1,000 foot tall spinning single rail 50 inversion coaster that's going to Cedar Point next week. And I don't want to contribute to that dumpster fire. Instead, let's look at current trends and base my predictions on those. You could say this video is a continuation of my other one titled The Amusement Industry is Changing, so if you want more context on the near future, check that out too. Okay, come closer. Take a look into my crystal ball. The future is about to be revealed. In order to predict the future, we gotta talk about the present. What's so special about our current times? This could be a slight overstatement, but times are a-changin'. If I didn't believe this, I wouldn't have made a video out of it. Currently, I believe we're in a transitional era that is likely to see some decent change coming in the upcoming years. This is in regards to every amusement park marketing director's favorite word, immersion. This word feels like it's lost some of its meaning lately, but the idea is that we may see the conversion of many amusement parks into theme parks. Not all of them, and there is still space for amusement parks, but theme parks are seemingly what attract people now. For a long time now, amusement parks have been clinging onto their marketing strategies of assigning arbitrary records to their newest installations that, in the grand scheme of things, have zero meaning behind them. Roller coaster manufacturers have realized that quality trumps breaking records. Don't get me wrong, we'll still see major record breakers, but the focus has shifted. Some extreme rides are still being built, but the name of the game right now is efficiency. How much can you accomplish on as small of a budget as possible? You see new installations from manufacturers like B&M that are often smaller in scale than their older counterparts. Take Dr. Diabolical's Cliffhanger, Iron Menace, Phoenix Rising, Mandrill Mayhem. All of these coasters pale in comparison to stuff being built even 5 years ago. I should note that this isn't completely the case for all manufacturers. For instance, Mock Rides has been booming lately. Intamin too. If you pay close attention though, you'll notice that despite the manufacturer, a good majority of new coasters installed in the Western Hemisphere are on the smaller side. This could be a trend caused by the current economic situation, but it might also reflect a shift in priorities among amusement park companies. In order to support some of this information and also kind of give some background as to why it is the way it is, I've got some anecdotal evidence for you. This summer, Katie and I went on a trip where our main focus was on going to Six Flags Magic Mountain. However, we spent a single day at Disneyland and a single day at Knott's Berry Farm while we were there. Let me tell you, Disneyland was a culture shock. Even though I grew up visiting this park, I had forgotten how thoroughly designed the experience is. From the moment you drive up to the parking structure, you are directed by attendants on where to go. From here, you are efficiently guided outside and through a row of what feels like hundreds of security checkpoints. From there, you board the tram and are dropped off at the entry plaza between the two theme parks. The entire Disneyland experience is like this: quick, efficient, and respectful of guest time. I can't for 1 second believe that the suits at companies like Six Flags haven't seen this and felt at least slightly inspired. Despite all this, there seems to be a stubbornness that infests these boards. The status quo works, and it's growing, so why fix what ain't broke? But I predict that growth will stagnate for certain companies until they prioritize guest experience. Otherwise, this growth could easily come tumbling down. Another key player driving the industry's current state is Universal Studios. At the time of this video's creation, they are rapidly nearing completion of their newest Orlando property, Epic Universe. As a coaster enthusiast, I believe Universal strikes a balance rarely found in regional parks in the US. Their parks are heavily themed, and their rides are integrated extremely well into this. I get the hint that the new Six Flags will in small part follow along with this trend, but only time will tell. Not wanting to be left out, Universal is also expanding into Texas. Could this state be a new hotbed for amusement parks? It's possible, but due to extreme weather patterns, like tornado season, other companies might be slow to follow. Trying not to tread the same ground I already stated in my video mentioned earlier, I want to keep this topic brief. Since we are at a turning point of the industry, what could these new trends look like? We don't really have to look far into this to get a general idea. Take the many theme parks dotted all over Europe. These parks offer well-themed experience that balance guest enjoyment and thrills quite well. You see, European amusement parks haven't had such a strong focus on breaking records. Instead, they've been introducing more dynamic attractions. The star attractions at these parks are beginning to feature a lot more dynamic track elements. Gone are the days of only having static tracks and only forwards-facing trains. Roller coasters of today feature switch tracks, turntables, tilt drops, elevator lifts, drop tracks, and so much more. These have always been things that roller coaster designers have strived to install in their coasters, but haven't been able to produce in as reliable of a fashion until more recently. Rides like Voltron at Europa Park do a good job at demonstrating this. What does all of this mean for the future? Firstly, the inclusion of more dynamic elements on rides is going to be king. Theme parks tried and failed to implement this using VR, but nothing beats a well-themed experience, and they're starting to see this. Obviously, all of this will be executed to a varying degree. Secondly, theming. Some amusement parks get this wrong. Theming doesn't have to be on the level of Terran at Phantasialand, but it shouldn't be as basic as Scream at Six Flags Magic Mountain either. Take Magic Mountain's most recent installations. Arguably, West Coast Racers does this better than Wonder Woman, so let's focus on that one. Rather than just placing a bland, boring ride in the back of the park, Six Flags actually put in the time and effort to create an experience that pushes ever so slightly beyond just the roller coaster. On West Coast Racers, you step inside the West Coast Customs garage and get a glimpse of what it's like inside. During the ride, you complete the first lap and return to the garage for a tune-up. This scenery doesn't go that far beyond a television screen and a few tools spread around, but it all makes a difference. In fact, the entire area around this ride is one of the better looking parts of this whole park. Another example is the semi-recently opened Lost Island theme park in Waterloo, Iowa, and the upcoming Mattel Adventure Parks in Arizona and Kansas. These all fit into the same mold as what I'm talking about. They seemingly aren't going to the same lengths as Disney and Universal, but they still appear to have a keen understanding of what works, focusing on creating an immersive experience. As North American parks add new attractions, I think it's safe to say we'll see an increased emphasis on creating more immersive experiences. As mentioned in the last segment about parks like Lost Island and Mattel Adventure Park, there are new and exciting developments coming in the near future. These independent parks certainly won't be the last we see. With the latest economic trends, rising costs of living, and ever-increasing housing costs, the US in particular has seen a major shift in where people are choosing to live. It's hard to predict how long this will continue and all of the places this growth will continue to be seen, but it isn't difficult to get an idea of what outcomes we'll see with this. It's inevitable that new amusement parks will continue to spring up and toss their hat into this proverbial ring. Moving to a different part of the world, the Eastern Hemisphere is currently pushing hard to drive tourism as their main economic source. We have tons of new and soon-to-be amusement parks in this area that are attempting to make a splash in the industry. With political, religious, and ethnic tensions being what they are, I'm not sure how I feel about the likelihood these parks can succeed. What we will want to keep an eye out for is which of these newcomers succeed and fail, and what were the drivers for these outcomes to get an idea of the changing trends of those times. It's not just theme parks that will sprout up. While the roller coaster design industry grows a lot slower, I predict there is still some new competition we will see sprout up here. Whether or not this shows up in North America or elsewhere is hard to say. However, manufacturers from the Eastern Hemisphere will likely continue their Sisyphean effort to enter Western markets. Check out this video to see my thoughts on that can of worms. Back on the Western front, we've already seen companies like Skyline Attractions attempt to enter the arena in the last 10 years. Surely, more will follow as new individuals with big ideas rise up and attempt to secure their place in this industry. Obviously, with changing times means that some people will succeed and some will fail. In the near future, I believe it's safe to say that I have some ideas about who might succeed and who might not. Let's face it, the amusement industry is full of competition. In fact, it feels like we're on the cusp of a roller coaster singularity. What do I mean by this? There are so many different manufacturers creating ride models that fit into the same niche that making the choice between one over the other could be more and more difficult for amusement parks. Here, just take a look at this. Say I'm the owner of an amusement park who wants to install a thrilling coaster with plenty of good forces and decent capacity. For examples of rides that fit this criteria, I could look at Phoenix at Farup Sommerland by Vekoma. For mock rides, I could look at Hyperia at Thorpe Park. Finally, for B&M, what about some of their more recent installations like Penguin Trek at SeaWorld Orlando? The similarity in design language across these manufacturers arguably makes it harder to distinguish each of them. A lot of them have borrowed heavily from the design philosophy of their layouts from designers like Alan Schilke and Joe Draves. This, combined with the fact that their trains all follow a fairly similar design, has me concerned that these manufacturers are losing what made them unique in the first place. Be that as it may, there will be some companies that will continue to thrive, and some that most likely won't. One company with arguably the biggest target on its back is Rocky Mountain Construction. Made famous through their hybrid conversions of wooden roller coasters, RMC saw their rise to glory in the 2010s. Today, they show signs of a potentially weakening foundation as they seek new opportunities to remain viable. There are only so many wooden roller coasters that can be converted into hybrids, and so many parks that wish to do so. But maybe they find a new foothold with something different, like their single rail coasters. If they can completely iron out the kinks with these rides, then I can see them easily succeeding through this or similar ride models. Another company potentially at risk is S&S Worldwide. They do have some new installations coming out, which I await to see their potential for success, but it seems that their sister company, Vekoma, is in the spotlight currently. Rides built by S&S lately seem to be lacking in the reliability that would make them attractive investments for amusement parks. If this trend continues, their future might be uncertain over the next decade. Moving on to amusement parks specifically, this could end up being a very turbulent time. As of now, the US is seeing the construction of at least 6 new amusement parks. The Mattel Adventure Parks I could easily see succeeding simply because of the amount of money backing them. On the other hand, we have plans like the American Heartland Park that is slated to be located in Oklahoma. This one seems to be surrounded by much more uncertainty than others. And who knows, maybe it'll work out, but maybe it won't. All in all, there is a bit of a fork in the road in what the future holds. On one hand, we could see massive conglomeration, which could follow up with the closure of many smaller, locally run amusement parks that simply can't compete. On the other hand, we could just as well see a strong pushback on the larger corporations and see independently owned amusement parks succeed. This aspect of the discussion is much harder to predict, so what about roller coaster technology? The first thing I see being worked on is reliability. Amusement park owners of late have become far more picky with their installations based on this criteria, and I could easily see this cause some players to drop out of the competition. Next would have to be the dynamic aspect of rides. This is in regards to theming and the ride experience itself. With theming, Disney will continue to do what Disney does and innovate heavily with their Imagineering team. Their animatronics continue to improve, and they will likely stay their present course. With the roller coasters, I bet we'll see some new innovations with moving tracks. Maybe something along the lines of a motion simulator on a track segment placed in front of a screen or some other theming element. To pitch another idea, what about a section of track that flips a train upside down temporarily? The long and short of it is, I predict that roller coasters will integrate even heavier with their theming elements than they already do. Just imagine being on an indoor roller coaster that is almost completely pitch black, but the track has like a lighting kit on it or something that makes it look like you're riding on Hot Wheels track or Rainbow Road. The possibilities with this could be endless. I can hear you saying by now, what about the record breakers? This one is a tough one, but in order for records to be broken from here, innovations in the materials used for roller coasters will need to continue to improve. In one aspect, roller coasters most likely will be built using increasing amounts of materials like carbon fiber. The heavy weight of modern roller coaster trains poses a major engineering challenge, so tackling this will be one major priority. Another is the materials used for the wheels. Right now, some of the biggest and baddest coasters are reaching speeds over 100 miles per hour, and the polyurethane wheels we currently use may only be able to go so far, provided these top speeds get any faster. This also leads to other things that these high-speed coasters will need to see, which are heat mitigation measures like fans and water jets placed at the ends or even during a ride's course. The other thing I see happening is an increased focus on the power that amusement parks used. So far, it seems like many amusement parks have skirted by using as much power as they have, and it makes me wonder what kind of impact these places have on the environment. I unfortunately don't have the answer to this question, and this isn't the first time I've pondered it. Some of the reason why this spotlight isn't brought up with amusement parks is the fact that they aren't open year-round, so surely they don't have that big of an impact, right? I'm not so sure, and I think it would be worth doing a study on this to get a gauge on this particular aspect of this industry. Second to last, we have propulsion. Magnets are the current method we use, and in fact may replace even more systems on a roller coaster if they can prove to be more efficient or reliable. Imagine a world where chain lifts didn't exist. This would make for less moving parts and hopefully better reliability. So in a weird twist of irony, roller coasters could simultaneously see an increased presence of moving parts and a decreased presence of moving parts. Of course, I can't go through this entire video without mentioning the current trend, machine learning. Or, to please everyone else, AI. While large language models, or LLMs, aren't the answer to designing the next great roller coaster, machine learning could be. Due to the fact that the industry of roller coaster design is as small as it is, this is something I see advancing at a very slow pace. I still think it would be incredibly interesting to see what could be designed by a properly trained neural network. Speaking of computer technology, what about brain-computer interfacing? This is something that could honestly be quite a ways off, but why not save on theming and just have the roller coaster connect to your brain to trick it into thinking you're surrounded by themed elements or being transported to another world entirely? Maybe we'll have a roller coaster in space? Unfortunately, I don't think we'll see roller coasters in space, or jet-powered coasters either. In fact, it could be quite a while before we see a new height record broken after Falcon's flight at Six Flags Qiddiya opens. Roller coasters have reached a technological plateau compared to their early days, but that doesn't mean they'll disappear anytime soon. They remain the main attractions at most amusement parks, and this trend shows no signs of waning. I guess we'll just have to wait to see what the future holds. Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to leave a like and comment below and hit that bell icon. Special thanks to our Patreon supporter, Future Collective. $1 a month helps me bring even more content to you guys, and I even have some exclusive content coming, so check it out. Check the description below to find links to the rest of our pages. Thanks for watching the video, and ride on, Coaster Maniacs.